And one question. Oh,
Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia Hereford, and I am Regional Director for ICT Digital Media for the Bay Area Community College Consortium. And as Sergeant Borrego said, that's a mouthful, and I'd like to introduce him. This is Technical Sergeant Fernando Borrego. He is with the Air National Guard, and he has been in the Guard now for 18 years, and he's here to share opportunities with the National Guard, and specifically to tell you more about cybersecurity roles at the Guard. So Fernando, I'm gonna turn it over to you. You can kick us off a little bit about your background. And I just want to tell folks we will have time for Q&A. I really encourage you, if you can, to turn your cameras on so that Sergeant Borrego can see you. But if you want to wait till we get to the chat, that's fine too. Certainly when we get there, we would like to see who's asking the question. So Sergeant Borrego, turning it over to you.
Thank you, Olivia. I greatly appreciate the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Technical Sergeant Fernando Borrego, recruiter for the California Air National Guard, in particular, the 129th Rescue Wing, which is in Mountain View, next to San Jose. So that's where I mainly recruit to. However, I can recruit people to anywhere in California. So I guess the one thing I want to touch on real quick is just to be open-minded. I know you all are focusing on, maybe careers in cyber. However, there is a plethora of other types of jobs that we have in the Air National Guard that can still help you get to where you want to be, and ultimately keep you fulfilled in helping out a mission like the one that we have at the 129th Rescue Wing, which is saving people's lives. So what I always tell people is, sometimes you don't necessarily have to do the career field that maybe you're going towards in terms of a major when you come into the Air National Guard. A lot of times it's great to just switch it up, do a different type of career field. Not that I can't put you into cyber. It's just, seeing what fits best for the wing, the mission, and then you as well, if this is something that you'd be interested in doing. So let me see. I got like a black screen right now. It feels weird not like seeing anybody, but either way, we'll just keep going. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the Air National Guard for 18 and a half years. Joined in June of 2003 here at Moffett Field, literally enlisted about 500 feet from where I'm standing right now. Started off as a cook, eventually became a jet engine mechanic. I was one of the Honor Guard head trainers here at Moffett Field, as well as Travis Air Force Base, instructing those in funeral honors. Did over 300 of them to include, sporting events and whatnot, help fight fires for California. I augmentee for our security forces squadron, which is like our military police squadron. Was on orders here for like administrative type duties. I've deployed, done all kinds of things. Now I'm a recruiter. So I've had an extremely broad career field in terms of the Air National Guard, and it's been great to say the least. I've gotten school paid for. I've met just amazing people, one of them being my wife. So not saying that you get issued a husband or a wife, but who knows, maybe it could happen. I think Marco Palacios knows a little bit about that. But ultimately the Air National Guard, it's a part-time component of the Air Force. We are more state than federal. However, we do it both. So the main things we help out is like humanitarian efforts, fires, floods, hurricane relief, earthquake relief. We've helped out with the pandemic, riot control, counter drug, you name it, we're involved. And then we do deploy federally, just like our active duty counterparts and our reserve counterparts as well. So with that, what's in it for you? There are benefits, whether there's money for school, extra money for school, bonus money, cheap medical dental, money for homes, or not money for homes, but VA home loans, travel across the country, the world, and also set yourself up with a career, either on the inside in terms of the Air National Guard or on the outside. We do have full-time employment here, not just the part-time side of the house. This allows our members to stay living here in the Bay Area if they so please. But, if they want to take opportunities, travel, and move elsewhere, we have Air National Guard units in every single state in the country. So this is something that, you can take with you. You're not going to be, the motto I mainly use is, this doesn't change your life. it enhances your life. So your life is basically what you choose it to be. You just owe us 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. Everything else is mainly volunteer based. So I know I just spit out about like 1,000 words real fast. But that's pretty much it. I've been extremely happy, extremely fulfilled in terms of my career. And that's something that I don't think money really translates to. Ultimately, it's about the people, it's about the mission, it's about protecting your country and your state in terms of joining the Air National Guard. So with that, I'm already ready for Q&A if anybody has any questions.
Well, I'll start with one. Fernando, could you tell us a difference, a little bit about the opportunities being in part-time service versus full-time service, and how would students go about investigating those?
Okay, no, for sure. So the biggest difference is having control of your life and your, pretty much making it what you want it to be. When you join active duty service, you ultimately are surrendering your rights, your time, where you live, maybe even like your family, because you'll leave them behind. And ultimately active duty will dictate your life for the next 4 years, period. And that does include normally the job that you select. So I was on the phone with an individual who's a family friend who ended up deciding not to go into the Air National Guard, joined active duty. He was guaranteed a job as a crew chief, which is like a jack of all trades on aircrafts, pretty much mechanical. And last minute, they're telling him that that job is not available, and they're still keeping his shipping date for basic training and reclassing him to a bomber refueler. So ultimately, he's going to fill up the aircraft with gas. And that obviously is not his choice, but that's active duty for you. Active duty is going to dictate whether you live in North Dakota or England. They're going to dictate your job, your hours that you work, and all that. There's a lot of benefits in it. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just one of those situations to where if you really want control of your life, active duty is not the right fit. Active duty is more so for people who are just like, hey, for the next 3-4 years, do with me what you want. I just want to help out my country, ultimately, maybe get away, from, where you've been raised, ultimately. So with the Air National Guard, it's based on you. You're the one that comes in, dictates your job based on like your qualifications and our availability with positions. So like when people come and talk to me, they tell me, I'd rather work outside, or I'd rather have an office job or a cyber job, whatnot. And then we try to get them what they want. And upon signing up, that has already been laid out. When they sign up that day, they know which job they're going into. They know which base they're going into. They can live wherever they want as long as they just come in 1 week in a month. And but then one other big difference is we have the humanitarian side of the house that active duty doesn't. They are the ones that more backfill, and go, abroad, right? Leave to the sandy areas, deploy and whatnot, where we help out California first and foremost before anything. So it's a big difference.
Second question I have, and then I'll see if anybody else has a question. Okay. But the other thing I'm curious about, are you like other recruiters where you're actually looking for certain types of roles and positions that you really need right now? And if so, would you share what those are?
Yes, ma'am. So at our base alone, we have about 80 different career fields, ranging from cyber to intelligence, aviation positions. They're called mission support group positions, which are, could be a cook or somebody in supplying, aviation parts. We have finance positions. Just keep going down the line. Like literally it's 80 different types of them, logistics and all this. We have special operations, pararescuemen who literally are jumping out of planes, saving people's lives whenever, wherever. So that's what we have at our base. Now, in terms of availability, in terms of jobs, we have the types of jobs that in my head, I'm already like, I know this is available. I know this job is open. That mostly falls in with aviation positions. Now, I do know, there's always potential to put somebody into almost any career field, because all that takes is me making a phone call to that unit. But that's where myself and an individual will, sorry, and my other phone going off. That's where myself and the individual looking to join will talk about those things. So if I'm talking to a guy, let's say his name's Johnny, and Johnny's like, Sergeant Borrego, I want cyber. And I know it's not really a job that we have just, any open vacancies. I can give the cyber squadron a call and pretty much say, hey, Johnny, good guy, I got to know him, looking for a position in cyber. Do you have anything coming up? Is anybody retiring? Is anybody transferring out? And then we could ultimately try to place them into that career field. So there is wiggle room. However, if it were up to me and everybody wanted aviation, thumbs up, I'd be happy, right? Because those are where most of our vacancies lie. Not because those jobs are not good, but simply we just, like cyber, we just don't have people come out of high school who just qualify for mechanical type positions. A lot of them haven't even changed a tire. So, that kind of plays into that, into filling those needs of our unit so that we could be 100% manned across the board. But like I said, there's also positions across California that I can still place people into. I've put people into cyber positions and intelligence positions in Sacramento, which is predominantly those types of jobs. They don't have aircrafts there. They literally have cyber and intelligence type positions. So ultimately, I could do that. And then we have a base in Fresno, LA, like Lompoc, like Santa Barbara area. We have one in San Diego. So we have 6 different wings in California alone. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right. Attendees, any questions? You can open up you can unmute and just ask it online, or if you feel more comfortable putting it in chat.
So Fernando, they're not all part-time, right? Just one weekend a month? Are there more larger time commitments?
Yes, sir. Whenever somebody signs up, their commitment will be 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. So all initial contracts are part-time contracts. Then we do have full-time positions at our base, like mine. Like I'm a recruiter. It was a full-time position that came up. I went for it. In getting this position, this allowed me an allowance for housing in the Bay Area, which is the highest in the nation because it's so expensive here, right? My military pay, money for food, full medical, dental, retirement at 20 years. So pretty much I'm on an active duty status in terms of this position. So now every other squadron across our base has a certain amount of full-time positions. So let's just say our biggest squadron would be our aviation squadron with working with our aircrafts, and rightfully so, right? It's, we need people working with these aircrafts every day. So there are full-time positions there, which there's more of them than anywhere else on base. But we have full-time cyber positions, full-time finance positions, logistics, keep going down the line. So we do have full-time positions here. Our base has a little over 1,000 people that show up here every single month doing the part-time thing. However, we have about 200 full-time positions at our unit. Anybody still there? Everybody still there?
Any
Hello?
other questions? Anyone?
Sorry.
Yeah, so I was hoping to get some clarification. You said that people, when they sign up for the specific job. Is that like 100% guaranteed, or is there still the possibility of being moved to a different job depending on the needs of the Air National Guard?
100% guaranteed on that front. So Alexander, so like, let's say it's you and I speaking about you joining. Pretty much what you would do is you go through the MEPS process to join. MEPS is the Military Entrance Processing Station. This is where you take an aptitude test, which is called an ASVAB test, like an SAT test. And then you take a physical, like an extensive doctor's physical. So no running, no push-ups, nothing like that. Just straight checking you from head to toe to make sure you are qualified to join. Then once you do that, I will have your ASVAB scores. Based on your ASVAB scores, I can tell you we have these 10 jobs available. You pick it. You tell me which one you want. And then from there, so age cutoff is 40 years old, real quick. So once you hit the 40th birthday, if you've never served before, that's the age cutoff range. But back to Alexander. So you would be signing up specifically for a job. And then that's it. That could be your job for the next 20 years if you wanted.
And so I wouldn't be obligated to take any of the jobs if I didn't like them, depending on after I've taken the ASVAB.
Correct. So yes. So you don't, when you go through MEPS, you do not have to join that day. I have an individual who I have my computer up right here with, a list of everybody. I had an individual who passed MEPS yesterday. He has not joined yet. So he will be, but that was one of the things myself and him, which is interesting. We are talking about cyber and intelligence type position. So he looked, or not intelligence, cyber and avionics position. So it looks like he's going to be taking a position in avionics, working the flight controls, navigation systems, communication systems of our aircrafts. He will end up dual qualified on HH-60 helicopters and C-130 aircrafts, but he is 100% the person deciding on the job. And that's it. Everything that I talked about in terms of my career, 100% my choice. I didn't want to be a cook anymore. I wanted to be a mechanic. I studied my ASVAB, got my scores back up, or got my scores raised, and ended up taking that position. I chose to be honor guard. I chose to augment Chief Security Forces, chose to deploy, chose to be a recruiter, chose to be here on this video call with you. So it's
what kind of how many years commitment would you sign up for the Air National Guard? Is it like a 1 year, 4 year, 8 year?
6 years, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. So 39 days a year is what you're committing to for 6 years.
6 years, and that's the minimum.
She left right when she heard that. She's like, 6 years? Nope, I'm out.
Yeah, I know, that's a long time.
Well, you think about it. Okay, think about doing 3 years active duty, 365 times 3. But if you were to come in the Air National Guard, it's 6 times 39. You're literally at about 240 days you owe us for 6 years. That's nothing. And everything you get in return, I don't know. I feel like the trade-off is definitely in your. I was looking at the chat.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I guess, Sam says it's too late for him.
Oh, I couldn't tell, sir. So if you have a criminal record, it just depends on what, I will say if anybody has a felony, that's going to be a no-go. If there's a misdemeanor, like a DUI or anything, for the most part, that can still be worked around. It just kind of depends. If somebody has domestic violence, that's one of those cases where that's going to be a no-go, because you're still signing up for the military, so you have to still be able to arm up. So domestic violence would keep somebody from being able to arm up, but for the most part, like most misdemeanors are waiverable. Some don't even need what's called a waiver. A waiver is where we pretty much I will touch on that in just a second, sir. So pretty much if you come in, tell me what the offense is, we just simply if there's a workaround with it. My advice to anybody who's interested in joining is don't disqualify yourself. Let me be the one to give you the official information. I've had individuals who are like, I didn't think about joining because I had a DUI. It's like, well, we can actually have somebody join with a DUI, so but that's the case with the criminal record. It just kind of depends on what. In terms of marijuana, not an issue. It's not an issue if you're willing to stop. But ultimately, back 18 years ago when I joined, if I simply told my recruiter that I had tried marijuana once or twice, which I definitely didn't, that's would be disqualifying back in the day. Now it's not. However, it's one of those situations where if individuals do smoke marijuana, we need to be able to have them pass a urinalysis test upon MEPS. So meaning if I was talking to Johnny and Johnny smokes marijuana, he smoked last Saturday, we're going to push out his physical for normally around 45 days. And that way it's cleared from his system. And when we set him up for his physical, he could pass. But in addition to that, he's going to sign a form. This form is an Air Force Form 2030. On there, it says from this date forward, and there's a bunch of no's, right? No use of any illegal drugs to include marijuana. So that's pretty much the criteria. You're a government employee, part of the Department of Defense. As of now, there's not even rumors of it becoming legal for us. So as of now, plan on. So in terms of any harder drugs, all I can say is there's no way of me knowing that anybody's tried any harder drugs. However, if somebody tells me, yes, sir, I have tried cocaine or anything harder than marijuana, that would be disqualifying off the bat. So any admittance or admitting to any of that would be grounds to not be able to join.
Sergeant Borrego, you talked about education benefits up front. Is that include, do you get that even in part-time active?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, in terms of educational benefits, I'll kind of just go, lowest level up. So pretty much what we have is we have whoever joins the Air National Guard, if they're going to a junior college, they will qualify for the Board of Governors fee waiver, no matter what your income is. So what that's going to do is that's going to waive tuition fees at any junior college. This does not take away from somebody's educational benefits. This is like where we have a certain allowance for benefits in terms of a GI Bill and potentially an additional bonus that's called a kicker. So yeah, so pretty much they're going to qualify. They're not going to pay anything for junior college. Then we have a GI Bill and we have a kicker bonus where as they're going to school, they'll have 36 months of this benefit. This benefit is where they just get a direct deposit every single month of, with the GI Bill would be $385 a month. And then their kicker bonus, $350 a month. Those two coupled with their 1 week in a month coming in, getting paid for that, they'll make about an additional $1,000 a month by just going to school, So that's just direct deposit into their bank account. Look at that as that additional $5,000 per semester, $10,000 per year. On that front, we then have federal tuition assistance. Federal tuition assistance pays $4,500 a year, calendar year, directly to the school. So if they're going to like a state school, San Francisco State, San Jose State, whatever, that money is just going directly to the school. Then in addition, we have a California Guard grants. They're like your Cal Grant A, Cal Grant B, but they're for members of the Air National Guard or the Guard in general. And so that can range anywhere between $2,000 to $12,000. Depends on the level of school. So the $2,000 range is because they're going to a junior college. State school, now you're at about the $6,000 range. University, $12,000. So a decent amount. And if they receive the kicker bonus, that means they probably got an overall bonus in terms of a career field, where those are normally $15,000 on top of everything I just talked about.
Those are
Not
great.
bad for 39 days a year,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Security clearances. So security clearances, we do them. Air Force does them, not like Army doesn't do them for all jobs, but we do. So pretty much what we do is upon enlisting, whoever joins would do an SF-86. It's a security clearance questionnaire. This questionnaire is like 10 pages. And it involves everything from residential history to employment history, education history, all that kind of stuff, references and whatnot. It's a background check. We do that upon enlisting because once you join, once you're coming out here 1 week in a month, we're going to start what's called an equip. This is pretty much going to start an official security clearance background check. It's going to get somebody their security clearance. If they go into a position like intelligence, they will get a top secret clearance. So yes, we do them.
I have a question.
Yep.
What if
what if somebody has multiple citizenships for different countries? Are they going to be eligible for Air Force, National Guard, and specifically for the intelligence?
They are eligible, however, they need to what's called denounce or renounce a citizenship. So you can only be a U.S. citizen at one point, at some point in time. So not upon enlisting, but it will end up being that way where they need to only be a citizen of the U.S.
Well, so when would that be? Like, so when you say not upon enlisting, then it's like immediately after, or
I believe
what
they
are we
start.
talking
I can get that answer. All I know on the recruiting side is it's definitely not immediate. So, but I don't know how far in the process.
And that's not the kind of a thing like don't ask, don't tell, right? That's a kind of like non-negotiable thing, I'm assuming, or do you know?
Correct. I believe when they do the background check, it's going to come up anyway that so and so is
Right.
or a citizen of another country. In terms of positions that don't require security clearance, there's only a few, and which pretty much that may lead to a question that some ask: do you have to be a citizen? You don't. You can have an INS green card, but it has to have at least 2 years remaining on it to join. And if that person joins, they would go into a career field that does not require a security clearance. So that would be something maybe in like supply, which issues out the aviation parts to our mechanics, or traffic management. Let me see what other career fields there. We do have an administrative position that also does not require a security clearance. But then also upon joining, that individual that has the green card would probably obtain citizenship in about 4 to 5 months. This is a new policy that happened roughly a year and a half ago. And we are seeing people become U.S. citizens at the 4-month range upon submitting a certain form to immigration services. So fast track to citizenship for certain individuals. Any other questions?
I have another question. Like, what is the exact role of the California Air National Guard like for national defense? Like, is it specifically protecting California from invasion, or like what is actually?
It's so one, we fall under the governor. So ultimately, that's our number one mission, right? So that's where if we get called up, so let's keep it real, right? Russia, and everything there. Can we get called up? Yes, we can. Are we on alert? Yes, we are. As a precaution. Once the Air National Guard gets involved, that's pretty deep into it. However, not as much as you would think. Like, for the most part, it's just utilizing resources, right? We have active duty, we have reservists, we have guardsmen. We're all trained the same. We literally go to the same boot camp. We go through the same technical training. You will be in those classes with active duty counterparts and reservists as well. So there's no difference in regards to that. So we can be put on alert. We can be called in to ultimately substitute for them, right? Like active duty makes their way in first. They spend 6 months, a year, wherever, and then they come back home. Then reservists are going, and then guardsmen, so it's one of those situations, but typically they try to pull Air National Guard last. We are normally here, so but yeah, we can. Now there's no like mission statement there. It's just be ready whenever, wherever. At the end of the day, we're still wearing this uniform, so it just means that we got to be ready to go. But I've been in 18 and a half years. I've only seen us mandated to go once for anything, and that was the riots. Well, they didn't happen, but the not called riots, but pretty much when people were protesting and everything down in LA after like George Floyd and everything, we had people being mandated to go down, and just for riot control. So they were literally down there for 4 days, came back home. So now, how hard is PT? I've seen that question. Depends on you. Ultimately, we get tested every year for push-ups, sit-ups, and a 1.5 mile run. That is it. I would say it's getting increasingly easier. Scores are going down. They did just switch the scores up. And so the scores that used to get you an A or used to get you a B, now get you an A. But for the most part, that's it. So PT is pretty easy. I feel like but it depends. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself. Other individuals may find it hard. Good questions. Anybody else?
And so, like, when you were deployed, or when people were deployed for like the George Floyd protest, can you be deployed like in that, like if there's a war, NATO engages Russia, like you can just go to Europe and fight for 4 years or whatever, right? It's not still once a week at that point if they need you, I'm assuming.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, when you sign up for the military, for lack of better terms, if shit hits the fan, they could use you in any capacity. However, that's normally where you really bring in the selective service. So when you have like males, right, who have to sign up for the selective service, if World War III breaks out and they start calling selective service people, they're giving those people a weapon, plain and simple, right? Because they're not going to train them up to all of a sudden be a jet engine mechanic or be a cyber specialist or anything like that. They're literally just going to give them a weapon because I don't got time to train you up. You're just going. And that's how that would, where somebody Air National Guard is already qualified in a specific skill set. Meaning, if I'm a jet engine mechanic and World War III breaks out, I'm deploying as a jet engine mechanic. So, to me, strategically, it's I don't know, for any male under the age of 28, not a bad idea to be in the Guard and have a specific job. All right.
There's one question there about, does the base have a fallout shelter?
Oh yeah, I see that. So does base have a fallout shelter? We have some stuff. We have like there's multiple places on bases that are called shelter in place. So it's ultimately like areas that are pretty well fortified, I guess, and that we can go to. So that's like bases across the world. But yes, so we do. I heard, is it different for women? The PT standards are, but outside of that, no. My wife, 5 feet tall, 97 pounds, served here at Moffett Field. Have a coworker around the same height. For the most part, our unit, not just our unit, the Air Force in general, is probably the most diverse branch of the military. I'd say at our base alone, in certain sections, it's predominantly female, if not 50-50. There are certain jobs that are more male, right? Security forces, certain jobs in aviation, as well as like pararescue. But outside of that, standards, and then also acceptance, comfortability, it's a good place to work, just in general. So I got a question. There's a guy, Dave McCandless. Have we talked before? Shy.
Sorry, no, I had to get off mute. I'm driving. No, we have not talked before. We haven't met, but I'm intrigued.
Okay, copy that. So yeah, you're definitely, I think, yeah, somebody else, same name. Just figured it was maybe not a coincidence. But
Actually, I'm not a candidate, but I'm a big supporter of AICT and working with Olivia. So I'm just wanted to be here to hear what you had to say. And I did have a question, if I can ask one.
Yes, sir.
More more looking for more of an anecdote. You mentioned a number of different positions that you've held over the years. Do you have anything that's in your repertoire that you would say was to stand out as an excellent experience you don't think you would have received had you stayed in the civilian community?
Oh, like I'm pretty much going to regurgitate my whole career, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, it literally boils down to putting on my uniform. It's the feeling you get waking up every day and doing something like this. That's just not your typical 9 to 5, just collecting the paycheck. Maybe, I used to be, let's see, I worked for a call center at one point, credit card companies. Did I believe in it? No. Worked at a hotel, worked at Big Five, all kinds of different like random jobs, probably the closest would be I was working at a medical manufacturing company. Most have seen the name Stryker on different products. So I worked there. So that was probably, I wouldn't say a close second, but at least I felt a little bit of fulfillment. Like, okay, I'm assisting something pretty cool with a good cause. Nothing like this whatsoever. I mean, people are straight putting their lives on the line for other people. So that just in general is huge. Doing honor guard, I mean, handing off flags to fallen veterans, next of kins, or being on like a 49 or 50-yard line, holding out the US flag, calling commands, crowds waving, and I'm just repping the Air Force. That was something. I'm going to be going on an HA-60 here in the next week with our Special Mission Aviations squadron. So stand by for that story. That one's going to probably be pretty cool. I got sent down to San Diego, got to assist our civil engineering squadron. So I got to learn to, lay cement, use blow torches, drive a big dump truck, right on the border of Mexico, where they're throwing all kinds of, just there was pollution there. So we're building sewage systems to help out with that. I mean, obviously I deployed the IED Qatar. I mean, just keep going down. I was propulsion mechanic working directly on the engines of our aircrafts. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I guess how many stories, there are. And obviously there's stories within that, within all those experiences that they're just huge, fighting fires for California. I mean, it's just like when you look back at your life and you've been serving in the Air National Guard, at least myself, I look at like my photo album and I'm just like, wow, that's, and I look at my own family, right? Same people, same types of people, right? We grew up the same. And then I look at where our lives are now. And, the big difference between us is I joined the Air National Guard. I'm with where I'm at, I'm able to afford a home in San Jose where my wife doesn't have to work. My daughter's taken care of. And I don't even have my bachelor's degree yet. That's not to brag. It's just to say the Air National Guard was just huge and instrumental in my life. And so, it's just a great feeling. I'm here at 6 p.m. talking with all y'all because clearly I love it, so.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, sir.
We had a bit of a discussion earlier about what's going on in the state of the world right now. Have you seen any changes in the recruiting process? I would say more from the interest from civilians at this stage, maybe in the last, it's obviously just been a week or two because we've had escalation for a while. Any observations there?
I'm getting more calls that are not just about educational benefits. So yes, people who served already looking to get back in, and just individuals who are like, I see the videos, I see Ukraine, I see orphans, I want to help. And they call us. And so, yes, not necessarily a change in recruiting efforts, just a change in the amount of phone calls we are receiving. And for what reason? That's what's changing a lot, literally extremely recent. So, yes.
Interesting. Thank you for that observation.
It's good to see that people are still repping America, So, how strict is MEPS? Extremely strict. They are, let's see. So how strict is MEPS? Boom. How much they pay you to risk your life for being in the Air National Guard? What's the limited age to join? Okay, so cool. So how strict is MEPS? Extremely strict. In regards to the physical. So now what's changing is they are pulling records for people literally in terms of medical records for like life. So they are doing that, and then we have to address those issues. MEPS is the Military Entrance Processing Station. It's where people go to qualify to join the military. So it's it comprises taking an ASVAB test, which is aptitude test, and then a doctor's physical. So in terms of the doctor's physical, they go over a questionnaire. It's about 120 questions, yes or no, asking you everything from, have you had a history of any broken bones, surgeries, hardware inserted, hospitalizations, skin conditions like eczema, history of asthma to include being prescribed an inhaler, any kind of mental conditions to include anger management courses or any learning disabilities, ADHD, ADD, anything you can think of. That's typically my spiel when I talk to everybody, because I am regurgitating what they're going to ask at MEPS. But they're going to go line by line. At MEPS, they play good cop, bad cop. They try to scare people, tell people, you know, you'll get in trouble if we find out you lied, because they're trying to find things out and ultimately disqualify individuals from joining, or necessarily, maybe that's like a wrong term, but ultimately they are just strict, right? Because not everybody can join the United States military. So they are strict in regards to that. And then everything else is standard. You know, it's all yes, agreed, best of the best. But you know, they hold true to protocol. MEPS falls under US MEPCOM, which means that their standards are throughout the whole nation. Every MEPS does everything the same. So they ask the same questions. The hearing tests are conducted the same, the eye tests, the way they check out a person head to toe, yada, yada. So yes, they are strict. How much they pay you to risk your life being in the Air National Guard? What's the limit age to join? That is 40 if you've never served before. If you have served, then we tack that amount of years onto 40. So if somebody was in the military already for 4 years, they can join at 40 up to 44 years old. What kind of training for cybersecurity? Air Force training, where we will send you to a different state where you will live and breathe cyber Monday through Friday, top of the line training. It's Air Force. What kind of engines? Mechanic program. That's you can work on engines for our C-130 cargo aircrafts or our HH-60 helicopters. Same thing, Air Force, top of the line type training. But now in terms of the pay is different. So there's different ways to get paid in the Air National Guard. Every time you don this uniform, you do get income. So when we talk about volunteer stuff, it's not free. But you know, if you come in, let's say you were to join and you were just to come in 1 week in a month, not go to school, not receive any of the educational benefits, you'd start off making $200-something a month because you're coming out only 2 days. Then when you go to school, you get that additional income there, whether in the form of a GI Bill or a kicker bonus. So that's you going to school, doing your regular, pursuing your normal educational goals, and just getting that money sprinkled on top of what you already got going on. Then when you come out on an order, so let's say we send you somewhere for 6 months, or you're here at Moffett Field in Mountain View for 6 months. During that time, you will receive an allowance for housing where you live. So if you live out in Los Baños, you receive allowance for housing for the Los Baños area, or Merced, or San Jose, or San Francisco, wherever the case is, or wherever you live. So that's what you would receive during that time, to include your military pay, money for food, all that kind of stuff. But then if you were to receive a full-time job with us, your allowance for housing would be based out of Mountain View. So you pretty much would be some of the highest paid military members in the country. So, this is what I tell everybody. I'm able to afford a home in South San Jose. Wife doesn't have to work. Twin daughters are taken care of. And, I don't have a bachelor's. There's no negotiation on my pay. It's literally public information because it's based more on where I live, or actually where I work. And, my rank, how many years I've been in. Simple as that. So pays good. I'm happy. Questions?
Fernando, before you leave, I want to make sure that you let folk know how they get in contact with you.
And about political affiliation. So in terms of political affiliation, like if you're already in politics, if you have a job, I don't know how that works. It's probably going to be more dictated based on your political affiliation. But whatever your political affiliation is in terms of preference, that don't matter. You just never want to go out bashing the president in public, you know. Keep those closed door, you know, because you're still technically that's still your boss. So, but you can have any political affiliation. You can have any religious preference or not. You can have any sexual preference. At this point, they're just, to be honest, you're free to be who you are within reason, right? There's just those few things, right? We can't be going out on public. And I'm not saying that this is my political view or how I feel, but I can't go on my social media page and just say F the president, no matter who the president is at whatever time. So I'm not saying that that's what I would say. I'm just saying that that's what I can't do, you know? So if whoever's interested in taking down my information, I'm going to do this. So actually, or I could shoot this information out. Actually, let me see if I could put it in the chat. Probably the best place, huh? In the meantime, though,
Let me see if I can get here.
or if I can say it out loud what my contact information is. Best way to contact me is via text, phone call, email works too, but you know, I like to get information fast and send it out fast as well. So text Sergeant Borrego. My cell phone number is 650-279-3930. Once again, that is 650-279-3930. One thing with all this, you know, I know some of you have said, you know, thank you for that. I know some of you have said, well, you know, I was like, I'm over the age limit or I'm not a candidate. That is okay. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I can only get out to so many people, especially during COVID times. This is one of the first video chats I've done. So this information is limited, you know, not everybody gets to hear it. So, you know, out of the group that has participated tonight, you know, maybe this isn't for you, right? But maybe it's for your cousin, maybe it's for your brother, your sister, somebody you know. This has offered a lot of direction in my life, but like I said, it didn't uproot everything. I didn't just leave my family. Extremely thankful for that. You know, I got to stay here. I'm from San Jose, and I've dictated my life for the past 18 and a half years. Wherever I've wanted to live, I lived in Vacaville, I lived in Hollywood, I lived in Oklahoma, San Jose, all around, you know, California pretty much. And each time it's where I wanted to be, you know, so, you know, maybe it's something to where you don't necessarily need to regurgitate the information that I just gave everybody tonight. But if there's somebody that you feel could utilize this, you simply say, hey, I know somebody you should talk to, you know. One of my cousins was Air Guard, 25, 30 years. See, in the Air National Guard, you can actually stay in longer than 20 years. We can all stay here till we're 60 years old in terms of the Air National Guard. So in which a lot of people do. They literally have to get kicked out. Like the Air Guard has to boot them for them to leave. Like, and what's crazy is there's people who are 60, got out, and they're still here at the base. I still see them. So this place becomes a part of you, you know, the people and everything. So just in that, I mean, it's just great people, like legit to be around. Where's the chat box? Somebody had said something. Okay, I used to work at Moffett, NASA, stayed in the barracks. There we go. So start out as private corporal, then how much they pay for allowance. Can they orders go abroad, fight in Europe or Middle East, or can we choose stay in US only? Thank you. Thank you for saying thank you for your service. In regards to dictating where you go, you don't necessarily dictate where you go. There's opportunities no matter what's going on, right? So if there's no war, those opportunities may just be traveling around the country and the world. Our unit typically goes to Africa, around the US. We over the last few years, I'll just kind of name drop some places that we've been to. Nepal, Australia, Africa, all around the country, Hawaii, Alaska, all those areas. Did I say Turkey already? If I didn't, Turkey. These are some of the trips that our unit has taken. Those are opportunities to volunteer for. You don't necessarily get mandated to go. In terms of war, look at Ukraine as potentially being the next place to go. And I'm not sure if it's going to be mandated yet. It kind of dictates what goes on, right? How bad things happen, you know, or how bad this gets, right? So with that, you know, there are certain jobs that dictate more where you go. If you joined and were security forces, you're probably gonna, which are our military police, you're probably gonna go to Ukraine. You know, pararescue, probably gonna go to Ukraine. Other jobs, probably not. If you're a jet engine mechanic, you might go to Germany, because Germany is where we would have our aircrafts parked. So you work on our aircrafts where they are safe. You're not gonna work on an aircraft when guns are, you know, shooting around. Our aircrafts, that's where they're going to aim. They're not going to aim for you. They're going to aim for the aircraft. So ultimately, you know, that type of job would still keep you safe, you know. So, but that's, you know, maybe the job would dictate, you know, where you go. We also have another job that would definitely go into like Ukraine area, which is called Special Missions Aviation. It's a mix of being a flight engineer and a door gunner, you know, so. Anybody here interested in joining? That's a good, that's my question. Everybody else has been asked questions. I got one, you know.
I'm interested, but I'm worried that I wouldn't want to give up my other citizenships.
Right.
So
We
I
can
was trying to look into that to see if there's like a possible, because they're friendly countries, they're like Canada and Denmark, but.
Gotcha. Well, we'll let, you know, you just reach out and I will find out that information as early as tomorrow. You know.
Okay, cool.
For those who do say, you know, I am, but unfortunate for, you know, different reasons. Like I said, you know, definitely don't, you know, don't hesitate to let those that you know about this information. Now, one other thing is actually, thankfully I didn't forget this. We have a California kind of like militia, and they're called Guard as well. If you want to help out, you can join them. You would wear this uniform. You wouldn't go through like basic military training. You would not deploy. You know, so even you, Alexander, I'm not sure what their criteria is in terms of citizenship, but we can definitely talk about that. If we find out information that is not for you, where you're like, no, I don't want to, and I'm using the wrong word, I'm sure, but renounce your citizenship. Maybe this is an option for you. They just spoke with us the other day. They also come here to Moffett Field, but they basically don't have an age limit. You have to pass a physical and all that, and they mainly help out like when we go places. So like, let's say we go somewhere and they need to backfill us here. That's pretty much what they do. So whoever is over the age limit, still reach out and I will give you their contact information. Yeah, I literally have their business card right here. This just happened on Saturday when they spoke with us. So we may have options.
Is that actually part of the Department of Defense, or is that like a non-governmental agency?
They are. It was a lot of information they were giving us that day.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, they wear the uniform. I want to say they are, but I can definitely get that information.
Yeah.
You know, like I said,
the lines are blurry sometimes with contractors and other organizations with the government. So,
but either way, if you want to join and you're eligible to join the real thing with us. And that, you know, but obviously I get it in your situation. But, you know, we can definitely see for anybody else who did just mention they were over the age. This may be your ticket in. And also, like I said, they don't deploy. So if that's a concern, you know. All right. California National Guard is part of the National Guard of the United States, a dual Federal Reserve Force. 3 components: Army, Guard, and Cal State Guard. Yeah, they're the Cal State Guard. So, but as we continue to work, we're in the same building that they are, but they show up 1 week in a month. And then their chief came over to us on Saturday and gave his spiel, pretty much started recruiting us to recruit for them, in which here we are just a few days later and already doing that. So it's pretty cool that there's still options to help out. All right. So with that, I mean, are there any other questions? I want to make sure none are left.
Any other questions? We got 1 more minute.
Well, I'll just leave with this. I appreciate your time, Olivia. Olivia and Sam, I greatly appreciate you giving me this opportunity. I appreciate all the all the questions from everybody and the participation. It sucks when these things are just one-sided. I'm just talking for like an hour, but yeah, I hope this information was valuable. If not, like I said, for you, for others that for you, Olivia and Sam, for future students that may ask questions, definitely send them my way. I definitely hope to do this, more often, so. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sergeant Borrego. And for those of you that I think I saw one person who said that they were going to share. This will be recorded and archived with the rest of the Tech Talks. And also, Sergeant Borrego, you said you wanted a copy. I'll make sure you have a link to that as well. So I want to thank you so much, not only for your service, most of all, but also for sharing this information tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thank all of you that showed that came to ask questions and participate. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
My only regret is not calling out Marco during because he knows somebody in particular here at our unit. So yeah. Awesome.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
You have a great night. Bye.
Good night.